Hello everyone. Today we shall look into few table functions which could fetch us information about the table. Here we have a sample table. Okay, I'll quickly add a step. I have added a step. I'll show you how to check how many columns are present. I'll type table dot column count. I'll open the parenthesis. Here this step which you could see is the previous step of applied steps where my table source is present. I'll close the parenthesis. I'll click here. Table.column count, it will fetch us how many columns are present. If there are very like multiple columns where you would require this column count, okay, it would help us to identify. I'll quickly move on to the other function which is empty. Here I have a table. So suppose that if I check whether is my table empty or not, I have added a step. Okay, here I'll type table dot is empty. I'll open the parenthesis. This is my table source. I'll close the parenthesis and click here. Here you could see the false condition. Suppose that I want to check whether the table is empty for an empty table. I'll type table dot from records. I'll open the parenthesis, give an like curly braces which represents that there are no records, and it will give us the empty table. I'll click here. You could see that now the condition has changed to true, mentioning that this is an empty table. To give one more example, I'll create an empty table by clicking on this enter data. Okay, I'll rename this as new table. I'll click OK. As soon as the table gets created, here you could see that there are no values in my table and the table is empty. My new table is empty. I'll go to this step. Okay, I'll remove this internal parameter. I'll put hash double quotes new table. I'll click here. Here you could see that true condition again, because my new table does not contain any columns or rows because and the table is empty. This is how table.isEmpty function helps us to identify whether the table is empty or not. Okay, let us see how to find out the profile of a table. We have this table where my employee ID, name, location and salary are present. Suppose that I want some basic profile of it. Okay, I'll click on this add step. I could type table dot profile. I'll open the parenthesis, give my previous step which is change the type of the applied steps. Okay, which could be my source table, and then click over here. Here you could see that I have column minimum values, maximum values, average values. Of course, average values for the ID is not useful. There may be few values which may not be useful for you, and few might be very useful. Like average salary is around 66,000, and the standard deviation is around 15,744. The count of the rows and distinct count, here you could see distinct count in the table was 15 for the salary column, which represents that there were 5 repetitive values. Okay, and this is how we could, this table dot profile helps us to identify the basic stats. Okay, and I'll move on to the other function where we could fetch the row count. Here I have a table. I'll add a step. Okay, once I add a step, I'll type the function table dot row count. Similar to the column count, we have this table dot row count which could help us to identify the number of rows. Once I click over here, you could get the number of rows. Okay, using interface, of course you could click over the transform. You could click on this count rows. In fact, you would see that Power Query would be generating the same function. Okay, rather than interface, if you are aware of the functions, it could help you identify the nuances. Let us move on to the other function where we could find out the schema of the table. Okay, I'll click on here. I could add a step. I'll type table dot schema, open the parenthesis and give the respective table name. I'll click over here. You could see that I have name column, the position of the column. I have type, okay, type whether it is text or integer, whether it is int 64 or 32, whatever the type it is. The data type which we have number or text, whether it is nullable or not. Similarly, we have several other parameters where you could see the schema of it, how the data table schema is present. So these functions are related to information which could help you understand better about the table. Okay, this is all for now. We shall meet in the next video. Thank you for watching.